In accordance with Board Procedure BP 5, this meeting will be live streamed and recorded and can be viewed on the DASD YouTube channel. And then it is now 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. Rebecca, was the meeting properly noticed?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Ann, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Jan Berg.
Here.
Brian Coker.
Here.
Sue Esser.
Here.
Jeff Hahn. Linda Lenhart.
Here.
Gussie Lewis. Gail Lovick.
Here.
Stephanie Saar.
Here.
Megan Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. That brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to the mission, vision, and equity statement.
All right. The mission of the DeForest Area School District is to provide an excellent education and engage, challenge, and inspire all students to pursue their full potential. Vision. The DeForest Area School District is committed to a culture that honors knowledge, respects individuals, demands excellence, fosters lifelong learning, and supports relationships that strengthen individuals, families, and community. Our equity statement. We believe every student can learn and deserves equitable access to high-quality, rigorous, and engaging learning opportunities, so we will ask questions, foster relationships, manage resources, and create systems to increase and sustain access, equity, and safety for all learners.
Thank you. That brings us to approving the agenda. Would somebody care to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. That brings us to board education on industry recognized credentials and their role in accessing work-based learning opportunities. So I think we have some guests here to invite up.
We do. We have Austin Hofer, our career technical education coordinator, and he has brought 3 students with him as well.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone.
All right. Yes, we wanted to bring some of our students in today and just share with you some of the things that we're doing, some of the work that's been going on. I know previously I've talked to you about like youth apprenticeship and things like that, but today I want to focus on industry recognized credentials that our students are earning either within our classes, at their places of employment, or at Madison College.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so industry recognized credentials are oftentimes what we'll refer to as IRCs. Our certifications are that are vetted by different employment groups, and they recognize skills that meet kind of rigorous things that are needed for employment, things that employers are saying, you know, we'd really like for entry-level employees to come in with these things to help, you know, mitigate workforce shortages and make high quality enters to the labor force. And this is a list that's reviewed annually, and new things are brought from DWD, Department of Workforce Development, and Department of Public Instruction, and that all gets captured in the technical incentive grant. So we offer quite a few IRCs within our classes that we offer in-house at DeForest. So I'll just run through the list. The ASK Institute for Fundamentals of Business. That's a collegiate level kind of curriculum. Basically, if you students that meet a certain threshold on the test, certify that they have a baseline level of fundamentals of business knowledge. Microsoft Office Specialist Associate level credentials, the Assistant Childcare Teacher certification and Infant Toddler certification, the Certified Nursing Assistant credential, Snap-on Precision Measurement, or PMI, and Youth Apprenticeship. Additionally, we do send a variety of students to Madison College through Start College Now, or students are able to achieve different certifications through their youth apprenticeships through their employer. And those would be things like the Automotive Service Excellence, Emergency Medical Responder, Emergency Medical Technician, Pharmacy Technician, or Firefighter 1 and 2. And so I mentioned a little bit ago the technical incentive grant. So because these certifications are, audited and approved on the technical incentive grant through Act 59. We do receive funds annually for every student that graduates with an industry recognized credential. And so that funding is used to support the continuous growth of CTE programming, sustain the credentials that we're currently offering in-house, and oftentimes leads to adding new credentials. Like just this year is the first year that we've been certifying students with the Snap-on precision measurement and the Microsoft Office associate level because of the funds we were able to bring in and add in new credentials. So to highlight the growth in IRCs, so if we go back to the class of 2024, there were 49 students, or 49 credentials earned with that class. From the class of 2025, there were 92 credentials earned. And class of 2026, I estimate there will be about 125, but it's hard to say because a lot of them come at the end of the year. We'll see how many students earn that Snap-on cert, the Microsoft cert, the amount of youth apprentices that we finish. So we're not quite to that 92 level yet, but I assume we're going to go well past that by the end of the year. And so I did bring a few of our students. So we have Kaylin Forsyth, Bryce Mahaka, and Elena Shore, and they're going to share, about the certifications they've earned and how they feel like it's helped them kind of go forward. So Kaylin, you want to start?
I'm Kaylin Forsyth. I'm a senior in high school, and I have earned my ACCT license. I have earned my CPR certifications. I have learned my infant and toddler. I've earned my Sleep Baby Safe. And that's all I've earned thus far. The classes that I've taken to do that is before I was able to come into the ACCT class, I had to take a child development class. Then right after that, I took my ACCT class, which I got all those certifications that I just listed. And right now I'm currently in Teachers for Tomorrow, which is helping me get my lead, which is pretty cool. I earned them I didn't take a test or anything. I just had to do, so for ACCT, I had to volunteer for, I think it was 24 hours at a center. But to earn my lead license, I have to have 480 hours of volunteer working. So having this internship has helped me greatly by being able to leave school early and achieve those hours, which I already have, so which is great. And then with my job, so at first I started off as just support staff when I didn't have any credentials, any certifications. So taking ACCT helped me become an assistant teacher, which helped me get paid more. Also, it helped me help out a lot more in the class, and it helped me be able to teach lessons. Yeah. And then with my future, it helps me after graduation. I would like to be a school psychologist when I'm older. And through this job, it actually helped me change from wanting to be a teacher to a school psychologist because I was able to have experience and know how I want to work with kids. So it was really helpful. And yeah, that's all I have.
Bryce, do you want to share about Microsoft?
Sure. My name is Bryce Mahatka, and I'm a sophomore here, and I'm taking Microsoft Office for Business Applications. So far, I have earned a Microsoft PowerPoint Associate certification, and how I've earned that is through training and classwork that includes modules and projects and practice tests, and the training will teach you how to do everything through their 3 steps, which is observing, practice, and applying. And then the tests in Microsoft Office for Business Applications are time tests where you're given a partially completed PowerPoint slideshow, Word document, or Excel spreadsheet, and you're given tasks that you must complete without any help. My class is a little bit different. It doesn't have any work-based learning. Everything happens in the classroom. And then this class will help me after graduation, even though I don't know what I want to do. It can be beneficial in any field because Microsoft Office is applicable in most fields and it's widely used.
Elena?
I'm Elena Short. I am a senior. I am a certified nursing assistant. So last year I took fundamentals of CNA, and then in my second semester of my junior year, I took CNA, which was through MATC. So that class kind of looked like I had labs once a week for a portion of the semester. And then at the end of the semester, we had 3 8-hour clinicals at the Wanakee Valley Senior Living. So we got hands-on experience for a full shift and got to be able to kind of shadow the people that were working there and see what their day looked like working with the residents. Following that, I took a reading test that was online and proctored by over a Zoom call. So once you pass that, you can also take your skills test, which is done in person, and you're given 3 skills to test your knowledge and see if you can get certified. And so following that, I'm now a youth apprentice and I work at Home Again Assisted Living. Because of this class that I took, I'm able to confidently care for my residents and connect with them and really know how to handle tough situations calmly and the right way. In the future, I would really love to be a pediatrician. That's been my goal since I was in elementary school. So having these skills and the experience at the job I have gives me bedside manner skills, gives me all of the abilities I need to be able to handle tough situations calmly. And this class was really beneficial for me to get certified. So.
Awesome. Yes, these are just a couple examples of just a few of our students that are actively pursuing and using their credentials. And, you know, there's a lot more that are happening, and we hope to continue to certify kids down the road. So does anyone have any questions for myself or students?
Kaylin, what grade have you been assistant teaching?
Yeah, so I'm a daycare teacher. I teach at a preschool. I work with ages 2 through 5. And right now, I'm like a float, which is like, I'm a float / assistant teacher. So I go around to different rooms and I literally get to be in every room. And I love it so much because I love saying like hi to every single kid. It's amazing.
My question's for Bryce, like as a sophomore, right? How did you find out about earning credentials and I just think that's really cool. We oftentimes see the apprenticeship program from earning a lot of that and going into like assisted fields. So I think that that's really cool that you're doing it as a sophomore and earning that. So I'm just curious to know how you found out about it.
To be honest, when I signed up for this class, I didn't even know that it was an option. So as from day one, I guess, of class, it's also a transferable credit. So that was kind of a motivator for me to take this class. But that was even just an additional bonus.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we've run the class in a few years. It previously existed as a non-dual credit option. And so it's now been brought back, and the kids seem like they're really loving it. And it drew the same amount of sections as it did this year. So the momentum is continuing in that class.
Yeah, I can see that because like you said, you can use that and it's applicable in any career path that you may choose. So other questions from the board? Yeah.
So I have a question actually for Kaylin and Elena. I'm just wondering, are you planning to go to Madison College? Before your long-term will be university? But
Yeah, so me personally, these classes actually kind of helped with that because since I've been taking, all the classes that I've been taking are through MATC. So I already have those all the way through, so I don't need to take them again. It's also really helpful because by going to MATC, I start off with a 4.0 since I've gotten A's in all of the classes. So it's really helpful with like a start off because it's easier to start off with a 4.0 than it is now. So, yeah.
I will not be attending MATC. I will either be attending the University of Wisconsin La Crosse or the University of Wisconsin Madison because I'm going to study biology on a pre-med track.
Yeah. So your plan is to transfer after 2 years
Yep.
to a university.
I would like to go to Whitewater after I'm all done. Yeah.
She loves my. I was waiting for that. Keep it together. Other questions for anybody? No? Okay. Thank you all for coming in. Ready? Okay, that brings us to item 5A, board business presentation and possible approval of R3, self-directed complex thinkers.
So we have directors of pre-K6 instruction, Chris 7-12 instruction, and then Emily Hendricks, our academic and career planning coordinator, to join us.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay, so we have a new PowerPoint layout. Really excited about it. Give us our feedback, but it's a little redundant to start, so we're gonna kind of click through it, but we're here for R3. Okay. All right, the first one, so this is just a summary. So we saw nice growth in our student mindset proficiency and 8th grade writing. There was growth in the preparation, social emotional learning, drive, and ACP indicators. We do see an opportunity to increase our ACT writing scores. This report has 4 defined results expectations with 12 indicators. 11 of those indicators have met the benchmark and 1 indicator is below the benchmark. And so this next chart just kind of reiterates that. We're seeing in these, all these indicators, we have met that benchmark indicator and we're still below the benchmark for our ACT writing, which we're going to talk about more.
All right, so then we wanted to make sure that you understood where the data is coming from. So there are 4 different pieces of data. One is the student engagement results. They are from 7th through 12th grade, and they are from the fall when we administered it this past fall in October. You also have growth mindset proficiency scores from middle school and high school. You'll notice it says at the end of the first grading period, middle school started trimesters, and so the end of the first trimester is in November, and then end of semester for the high school is January. And then we have the writing scores from Forward and ACT that were taken last spring, so last school year. And then we have the ACP plans that were documented for our 8th and 10th graders, and that is from last school year. So then I know you always appreciate hearing some of the things from our last board report and the next steps. So thank you. So the first one is we think about ACT, the academic and career planning. As you know, we added a teacher at Harvest, and so now all 4th, 5th, and 6th graders get ACP class there. And then this year we have it that all 8th grade students also get that ACP class, which I know Emily has something to add on about that.
Yeah, so I apologize. I'm battling that virus at corner. So yes, the big thing that we presented last year that we're very excited was about getting our 8th grade ACP teacher so that all of our 8th grade, so we can kind of close that gap between Harvest having it and then not having a mandatory class until high school. So that was a huge step. And Miss Chrissy Davis has been doing wonderful. She's doing such creative projects. She actually has a theater background, so she is like the most amazing creative person. But a couple big things that she has been doing is kind of gapping that information between what they're doing in 8th grade and how to be proactive in preparing them going into the high school. One of the big things we have at the high school is, of course, our senior ACP presentation. So what Miss Davis is doing is she actually has all of our 8th graders do an ACP presentation. But what hers is talking about kind of where they've gotten to 8th grade, and then they are looking into what they are looking forward to and thoughts already going into high school. So they're doing a lot of career exploration. They're focusing on the 16 career clusters. Her partnership with us at the high school has been amazing. She's had tons of different clubs, host FBLA, all these different people when she's talking about those types of fields come in. And so just last week, she did her 8th grade ACP presentations, and she actually had seniors from the high school come and talk about their experience and answer questions. It was really nice because they asked some questions I think they might have been nervous to or scared to ask us as staff. And so it was really nice to see kind of that mentorship. So I think that's been a big piece with bringing that 8th grade ACP is that mentorship building that we've been doing. So I think it's been amazing.
All right, next step is last year, if you remember, our guidance counselors at the elementary schools were piloting, well, they were looking into reviewing and then piloting social emotional learning curriculum. We had second step at the elementary level. And so they did a deep review and they decided to do Character Strong. So now all elementary schools are using Character Strong. And we have shifted the main instruction happens through the counselors, but then they share resources with the classroom teachers so they can build on it. And it's really nice because they have monthly themes and it's the same for the whole building. all the levels, but then they have different lessons at each level to go along with it that's developmentally appropriate. And it really focuses on those character traits and those attributes that we want for all of our learners. So that's happening this year for all K-3. Another adoption, as you know, we adopted Amplify as our literacy curriculum K-8 last year, and it does have a lot of writing support and instruction, but what we were finding is that students who were in the upper grades had more of a gap. And so one of the things we had teachers piloting last year at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was Quill, which is an online program. It uses AI a little bit too, but it basically gives them feedback around sentence construction, grammar, gives them an assessment, it gives them practice and instruction, and it gives them feedback on grammar and sentence construction to help fill that gap. And so we are using that this year now in all English classrooms, 6th grade through 12th grade to help with that. And then the last is around the behavior support. So last year we were moving forward with getting behavior support at K-6 and 7-12. So this year we have a K-6 behavior support coach. And then instead of the 7-12 coach, we have an additional dean, not an additional dean, a dean at the middle school. And so that's providing additional PBIS and behavior support at the K-8 level.
All right, so that brings us to our areas of improvement, which we identified as writing, specifically on the ACT. This is something we talked a lot about during R2 as well, but just highlighting some of the things that we're doing about it. Our partnership with Greater Madison Writing Project, we've partnered with them for a long time. A lot of our teachers know them very well. They're specifically working with our 9th grade ELA team this year, which has been really helpful. They're also leading a professional development series for any teacher to be involved with. It's a lot of secondary teachers that are participating in that, which is great. Kate talked about Quill, but the other thing we identified as an area of improvement is thinking around ACT and how we prepare students and get information to families about ACT, which I know Emily will talk about in just a second. And the other piece, just with the writing portion of the ACT, is it's not a required component of the ACT. So it is our role and responsibility to help set students up for success, even though, like I said, it's not a required national part of the ACT. But it's something that we take a lot of pride in. We want our students to be successful because that does carry with them. And I'm going to have Emily speak to just a couple of things that we're doing specifically around preparing students for ACT this year.
So we've done a couple new things, especially with having parents where it's been super, super helpful with that communication piece that has been difficult. So our students took the pre-ACT in the fall. And once we got the scores back, I made an interactive lesson that they do in advisory, but with Parent Square, I could send it home as well. And it's because it was embedded much more efficiently than it was just through if we sent it through an email. So I sent in the interactive lesson through Parent Square to the students and families so they can go through. I sent a video of how to go through it and do it. And I had quite a few parents respond back and thought that that was really useful. And then in addition, a big thing that's always kind of difficult is sending home scores. When we receive the test scores, we only get one test sheet per student to give them. So we tried to give it into advisory. Now, believe it or not, sometimes those do not make it home for whatever reason. But we did find out with Parents where we can actually send confidentially the report to families through Parent Square. And that has been a game changer. Parents super appreciate did that again coming into the spring a couple weeks before ACT, which is tomorrow, woohoo! And sent them their report with again, the interactive lesson and then more additional information that we've received. A really cool new test support is called TestNav. It's actually the app they use, but they have now turned it digital where anyone can access it. So again, I did another interactive lesson. It went home with parents as well, where they can go in. It's the exact portal, but it's like a like a virtual one. They can go in, free test, time test, lessons. So again, a really nice interactive way to help students study, but not only that, to have parents help understand and see that that is a useful tool. And getting those reports from the pre-ACT was super helpful. So those are some big things that we were trying this year.
Another program we have at the high school is called Methodize that all of our juniors have access to. It's essentially an ACT aligned prep course. And it does have writing components with it as well, which is really helpful. And so we've always done that with students in advisory and given them that information, but again, sharing that more with home because it's not something that teachers can oversee and look at how students are doing, but they can go through the entire test and really dive into practice problems. We're trying to build as much awareness about all these resources that we have so that students are able to identify the areas that they can grow or just as a whole, make sure that they're getting as much practice as possible.
So then talking about action steps that we're going to continue to use this year to continue that compliance, but then also, as we move the work forward. So one of the big pieces of continuing to make sure that our learners feel connected is responding to those student engagement survey questions. And so we saw a nice growth across the board when we had those like kind of indexes when we're looking at questions as groups. But at the building level, we are kind of digging it down, drilling down to those individual questions and following up with students whose scores don't meet this indicator. So really looking for learners who are indicating they're not feeling connected, or specifically like they don't have an adult that cares about them or things like that. So we're individually reaching out to those students, our student services staff, and wanting to learn more. Sometimes it was just a hard day that day when they took that assessment, and that kind of answers the question, but sometimes there's more support that those individual students are needing.
Another action step is, as we think about evidence-based learning and the learning we've been doing with our staff, a key component to that, which is where we want to move our learning into, is shifting that to the students and really helping them set goals and really understand, like, here are our learning expectations. Here's what it looks like to meet them. And so that they can help action plan how they can get there. So that is just continued learning we want to do with our staff to build that connection between goal setting and evidence-based learning.
And then last year we started something new on the afternoon of the ACT day, where we have our 8th grade students come up to the high school and do some learning around what does the high school look like, what does it mean to walk their schedule and see what lunch looks like, but also see what extracurriculars are available that they can participate in. And Emily and one of our APs at the high school, Sue Ellen Kurt, have done a really good job of leading that out. So Emily, if there's anything that you'd love to share about that.
Yeah, wonderful we're having this tonight because this is tomorrow. Awesome. Yeah, Sue Ellen Kurt, our AP that started, she's been phenomenal. A big goal and a big kind of thing we're working towards is, again, like I said, with our 8th grade ACP student, is that partnership and that community growth between middle school coming into high school. So that has been a big transition that we've been really trying to do better and to grow more in. So like we just talked about, a big thing is that they're going to be coming tomorrow, and we have them set up into 3 different groups, and they'll come in, we'll go into the PAC, talk about like kind of the big things of high school, some of the important stuff, and then we'll break down into groups, and we have a rotation of doing a tour in the building, and our staff are leading these. We have the involvement fair that has all of our clubs, athletics. They're all going to be in the gym with booths set up. This year we're spicing it up. We've got them kind of like a bingo card they fill out, put in. We're doing prizes to keep them, interested, which has been a great thing. We have a lot of the high school students that are running the booths, which was really great. We were a little worried they won't get enough, and a lot of our club advisors said we have too many kids that want to work the booths and be there because they think it's such a great experience. And then we also had them going through lunch line, because that is one of the toughest things we've gotten back on feedback, is knowing how to go through lunch, how do we use our number, what food can we get. So again, we have the whole staff is a part of this to make this happen, and the whole 8th grade team, they walk them over, and we just have a great time doing it together. And that has been a huge step forward for us in having this 8th grade transition.
All right, so that brings us to future indicator revisions, that we want to bring forward. So we currently have in place an indicator around students documenting their ACP plans, 8th and 10th grade. And we really feel like over the past couple of years, we really hit the mark in terms of exposure to students and students interacting with it. As you can see, over the last couple of years have been like 98, 99%. And we're really at a point where we want to push this even further to really see how these results play out. And so we are proposing that we remove that indicator and replace it with this new one, which essentially looks at our last year's graduating class and counting up the total percentage of students that earned at least one of the following things. So one of them is work-based learning, industry recognized credentials, which we talked about earlier, received a dual credit, or passed an AP exam. Because these are things that are measured in Redefining Ready. These are things that we report out in our annual report. And it's something we've heard the board talk about too, as being really valuable. So we want to be able to really dive deeper into this data and measure it, and something that we want to bring forward next year and beyond.
Just, I'm going to add the connection. You mentioned redefining ready. That is based on the national research around what is considered making a student ready for college, career, and life. And so these are just some of the indicators, and we felt it was really important to connect it to this board policy.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so for that reason, we are marking this report as making reasonable progress toward achieving the desired results.
Heard the information. Would somebody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we now own the report and can ask questions.
One question that sparked me, I know you're using Parent Square a lot to connect with families regarding, just getting students prepared for at least the writing portion for the ACT. Is there a way to track and measure how successful that would be? Like, is there a way to track that connection with the parents to how well they will do on the ACT? Because yeah.
We'd be able to track. Kathy, can you speak to how we can track who opened the?
So one thing that's a new way that we're able to find out how effective our communications are is we can see not only based on see how families are choosing to receive our communication, but also if they are engaging with it. So whether they choose to get information by email, by text message, or through a notification, we can see whether they were open, viewed, engaged with. So I don't know if we're quite there yet to then make any leaps based on, well, if the parent opened it, it translates into maybe this gain in a score. But we certainly anecdotally feedback that Emily referenced. I think this is a new way that parents are able to get communication in an additional way regarding academics and curriculum that they've been asking for. And so that feels like a big win.
And the next question, with the digital version of the prep, is there a way to track how many people are doing it at home? And will that translate into on the test? Like, how many students are actually taking advantage of this outside of school, with the help and prompt of a parent encouraging them to do this? Like, is there a way to?
Like Christopher, I don't think there's a way, especially with like the two big ones that we talked about, test methods. I don't know if there is a way to track or to see how many kids are using it or when they're using it, as far as I know. You've known the program a lot.
Yeah, so we can see how many students have utilized it, but we don't know in what capacity. Like if they've used it for 10 hours, if they've used it for 10 minutes. So that's data we can't get, but we can see how many of our students are at least interacting with it. But in terms of the online ACT prep, that's something we can't track. But what's nice about those is they take questions that are directly essentially from the ACT or 100% aligned. So they can essentially take the entire ACT using the online resources, and like it's essentially like the same questions in alignment with a lot of those things. So yes and no. It's just hard to know like exactly how long students are engaging with it. That's kind of the piece we don't have.
It'll be nice to see the engagement. This is just, I don't know if this is what the board would want, but it would be nice to see the engagement for the families and how that translate over to making progress. Like if we see like this Parent Square is really getting parents involved in a way that we've never seen it before, but it's bringing up our reports. I mean, yeah. So it would be nice to see the connection. That's if the board wants.
Other questions for the team?
I have a question. So the writer's workshop is being used at K3 and 9-12, is that correct?
Are you talking about the Greater Medicine Writing Project?
I did.
Yeah. So what I will tell you with that is at 9-12, the Bryn and Mark are the people from Greater Medicine Writing Project. They work directly with the staff. at the high school. At K3, we have regular meetings. I meet with them regularly along with my instructional coaches as we're helping our staff understand the shifts in the standards and the expectations of the writing instruction at K3 to really make sure we're holding our students to the rigor that we expect and also understanding the shifts in instruction. So they don't necessarily meet with our staff, but they meet with our instructional coaches who will then turn it around where they provide coaching nuggets in the building newsletters and they provide coaching cycles around it.
So actually, what I wondered is, and that's really helpful, but also wondered, what about grades 4 through 8? In terms of, they're not right now getting support from the writers workshop, is that correct?
The Greater Medicine Writing Project, yes and no. I will say that I meet with them personally too. So there's many times I share the things with the instructional coach as well at 4-6. And I have shared resources back with them from them. So I would say they're getting at least 4-6, a very similar level of support that K3 is getting, which is leaning into the expertise of the Greater Medicine Writing Project, where they're combining best practice and instruction with the expectations of the standards and building that bridge. And so because of our regular meetings with that, while the coach isn't there from the intermediate school, she still benefits from it because we connect with her on a regular basis to share.
What grades are Quill again?
Quill starts in 6th grade, and so that's 6th through 12th grade.
And the other things, they are leading a district-wide professional development, which is after school, which we do have teachers engaging from middle school harvest in that, a small handful. So they are exposed to all levels, but they're working more directly with K3 and 12.
Ones that needed.
I also had a question about Quill. So does Quill supports grammar and sentence structure? Does it support actual writing sample, like writing paragraphs, writing kinds of things that will be tested in ACT and needed in life?
Yes, it does. So students are interacting with it and doing different components, and then they're able to put it together in a writing sample.
So it's not just in isolation.
Right. Yep.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. I mean, it's another great report and it's exciting to see all of this come together. I mean, this has been in the making for a long time and we continue to see you guys just stick to it and stay with it and pivot as you see that data and you use that data. And it's very exciting to see it. And, kudos to the team, kudos to all of our staff that do it. And, thank you for that hard work. It really is. It's exciting to see it and see that momentum.
I just had 2 questions. One on the preparation index. I know that we asked that question in the student engagement survey. I wonder, and we've talked about this before, about getting information from post-grads and asking them, did they feel prepared for life after DeForest High School, right? If that would give us a more accurate picture of, instead of asking the ones that are currently in school, do you feel prepared for whatever's to come, asking the ones that have already left. And I know that's been a real touchy subject because it's hard to gather their emails. And we've talked about that before, but it might be interesting information that would kind of give us a better picture of if we really did prepare them because they're living it.
Yeah, so with our graduating class, we have an exit survey they do. And we've really now fine-tuned it. We really had almost the entire class last year who filled it out, and it does ask for a personal email so we can follow up with you in case we want to load those things.
Yep.
And so now we are collecting a large amount. Now we fine-tuned it for this year to, usually we have them do that survey right after they do their exit, their ACP presentation. We're gonna have them now do it in class so that we can send a list and say, hey, these 3 kids in your advisory didn't complete, please have them complete before, so we can get most, if not all of for that exact reasons to follow back up in the next couple of years. The other thing is that I've had students now as they're seniors asking like, hey, if I go into this, can we come back and talk about it now that we have so much partnership and they're going to middle school and stuff. And so they're really, really excited about it. So we are getting doing much better in collecting that so that we can actually go back and ask.
Yeah.
I have a question about that though. So if we look at 3.2, the policy is set priorities and goals, assess personal progress, and make appropriate adjustments. When I interpret that, I see that as an important set of questions for our current students because we want to know, I can see both ways, but I see more importance in my interpretation.
How to reach those goals.
How to reach those goals and making sure our kids have opportunities to set those goals and that they know how to assess themselves along the way. So I can see like the value in, you know, surveying our graduates, definitely.
Yeah, I wouldn't take
I-
away anything that we're doing. I just wonder, like, we've asked about, like, additional, like, responding, you know, like, I'm sure much more, like you explained, much more data that we're gonna ask them for coming back, just that connection.
And then we could probably find connections to maybe other policies too that
Probably.
it connects with.
Yeah.
So there is value in that. I just don't, this one, I'm not sure.
You'd
I
have to
see-
add like a whole nother indicator if that were the case.
It might
Or
fit
another
that
interpretation.
3.4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
My other question was on 3.1, and I struggle mostly with the SEL and measuring it, because I think that a lot of people struggle with how to measure that. And if you look at the three different indicators that measure growth mindset, ACT, and forward, and we're really asking the question, like, students having the ability to discern and use information from a variety of sources and data to solve problems, think critically, and make independent and informed decisions. So I just wonder if maybe that fits more into like the program like ACP that we would want more data from versus, you know, a forward test or an ACT test. Does that determine whether they can discern information from a variety of sources? I just wonder if I think the interpretation is right, and I don't want to change the policy by any means. I just wonder if it's answering our question, right? And even if you look at the interpretation, values the ability to apply knowledge, skills, and reasoning to situations and issues from the workplace and real life application. I don't know that the ACT and forward scores, mind you, it's great information if that's really helping us decide whether our students are able to do that. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I think it's like, I see what you're saying. I think it's valuable information. It's great, you know, like it's one data point that we can say that they did good on a test.
Right.
But how come they were able to do good on that test? Because they've taken the right classes and they were able to do.
I just think our ACP program has totally exploded. And you think about the workplace credentials and getting data on that, you know, would that really give us more information on were they able to make independent and informed decisions, or, you know, real life application? We just heard about that. So like, to me, like, we already have the program in place, and it's maybe not that we're measuring it or getting data on it, but maybe we should, maybe that would be a better
So,
measure of.
Something that I've heard other districts do, that we've talked about as a team before, is pulling an assignment grade from a class that's doing that work. So that would be something for us to continue to explore. I know when we talked about it originally, when this policy was, I don't want to say like looked at, reviewed by the board, we didn't at that time have an exact, like, this is the assignment that exactly fits this, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Like the variety of sources one, you mean?
yeah.
Like that?
right.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you're right now that we have these ACP classes, if that would be a place to explore, that they might have assignments where they're looking at a variety of sources and data to figure out well, first think critically and then make some decisions.
And I just think would we have seen that data on the IRCs, you know? Would that come before us in
Yeah,
a
but not
report?
all kids do that. So that's where we always have a dilemma is like.
Right, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
as a board, is that information that would be helpful to understand that they're getting real world experience, I guess, other than us getting it in like, here's what's going on in our schools. Like, do we want to see those type of results? Like, here's how this program is growing. Here's how the kids are utilizing it in real, you know what I'm saying? Like, and same with ACP. I don't want to sit there and say we want to grade ACP, but like, I don't know, like it
sounds like a conversation to have within the board about, have we moved, have we reached a level and we've gotten the data we want, and are we looking for different data now? And if we're looking for different data, then, okay, yep, from this conversation, can you come up with some indicators that will produce that data? Is it time for a data change?
So we just added the ACT writing to this about a year ago because, and forward, because they do need to read multiple texts and they do need to put that information together. So discerning information from a variety of sources. So that's one reason it was brought forward. And then the indicator change that we're bringing forward has the industry credentials in it.
Yep. And part of the reason I think I mentioned earlier, but like we were really measuring surface level before of like our students interacting with this, but now it's like, what are you doing with it? Like, how are you making choices in areas that you're interested in that are going to help push you to whatever that next step is? So I do think that's one example that's getting at what you're talking about.
I think we're doing the work,
Mhm.
and I think you're coming and showing us in other ways that we're doing that. I just want to see that in a report so that it's not like, do we remember to do that every year, or do we remember to ask for that every year? Like, because I really do think that it's important, the ACP and the IRS, like that whole program and what we've added, right, from harvest to middle school to high school is huge. It's what our community has asked for. It's what our students have asked for. And I think that we've obviously seen the growth from year to year, right? And so,
Okay, I want to ask,
And maybe
I
it
want to
won't
make
fit
sure
there.
we're heading in the right direction. So there's a request to do more with ACP. Is that what I'm hearing? More?
Question before.
Yes.
So do we need a better understanding of how, as a board, how the ACT writing and the board exam meets our goal? Because
Maybe that's the place to start.
Because maybe we as a board need to understand why they put, we just know the test name, but what within the test
helps
would
prove that,
yes,
right, that we're
because
meeting
they-
that mark.
you know, the district knows, but we don't necessarily know that. And that may be hitting what we need.
Yep.
We just don't know that. So are we looking for more information of what these specific things are? And maybe they could come back so we can be more informed when they bring these reports to us. So it doesn't just look like another standardized test.
You could also wonder the critical terms under that indicator that might help with some.
We could bring board education,
Yeah, we could-
so samples of
Like what the kids are asked to do.
what the kids are asked to do. There's a reason we chose that, and
Right.
maybe
Right.
that would help with
Right.
the opening up that door for a bigger conversation. We could do a little board education on, and then have more of a dialogue of what is that? If that's not meeting the mark, then what else might be able to
Yeah.
meet
Because
that?
I think with the indicator change, I think that would hit more of the ACP. And so I think maybe we need to dig down to understand what they're bringing back to us to see. Now we can look at it and say, do we need to change something to get what we want? Is this really giving us what we need?
Right.
Now that we have a better understanding of what they're giving us. That makes sense.
That makes sense to us. I can see we're all at that, so that's a good place to start.
Because I would hate to change it and then we're
Still missing the mark a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
you know, we're getting good information, but is it really answering our policy?
Correct.
And it's such an important policy. We want our kids to be able to read information and pull it apart and use the data to solve problems.
I just think that's such a hard question to answer, right? And
Yeah.
maybe that's the reason why it's like, well, I'm not really sure how the ACT, like how it does that. And that's a good way to look at it. I definitely agree with Stephanie and Megan. You made a good point too. Like it's one point of data, like, right? And yeah, I know that we're doing so much more too, that
The other thing the second thing that I didn't bring up is, we're at scores that we're very proud of. However, as Diana says, it is one assessment, one given day. And, because her teams, the student services teams are charged with digging into each of those questions. And then, like she said, going back and really working with kids. And so we want to make sure that we have this sustainable for a little while, like not to flip completely away from, we're very proud of these scores, but we're not ready to be like, and we're out,
Yeah.
like we're good. We want to sustain the work. This is the first year that we've been over the 3.0 and the subgroups.
Yeah.
So it's not time to walk away from that yet.
We made some, I think, significant gains in SEL, just changing how it was even given to the students
Yes.
for them to make it more applicable to learning it, right? And the teachers applying it. And I think that has helped tremendously. It's,
Part of
yeah.
what we were seeing was because we kept flip flopping that
Yeah.
when we were doing SEL wise, right? That was also part of it. Now
Trying to hit the mark,
we're
figure it out.
continuing to be consistent from K to 12. And so that's also helping too, because we really are now seeing that consistency and they know what to expect from kindergarten up to 12th grade. This is how we want you guys to behave, So I think that's the other thing. You don't want to switch that either. And then now now get started all over.
Explain it all over again. Yeah. My last question is, and I should probably already know this, but when we do the student assessment survey, do we send a communication out saying we're doing the survey, here's how we're going to use the data, and parents have an option for their child to opt out?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I know there was some confusion around that, and I thought I knew the
And there's
answer
a
already.
script for teachers to use. It is not anonymous, but we chose that as a board, as a director team about 5 years ago, because we got back scores of kids saying they didn't feel safe at school or they didn't feel safe. And we had no way of knowing who they were and that
we want to be able to help.
we want to be able to help. We have services that can
Yep.
help. So
Yep. Okay.
we attached it to the student ID.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody?
I have one more, just, that was sort of triggered by, Megan just talking about the alignment from kindergarten through 12. And of course, I jumped to, what about early childhood? In fact, there used to, I was just looking this up, there used to be a state council called Pre-K 16 that was talking about the alignment from early childhood through a bachelor's degree. It doesn't exist anymore, but the concept is still alive in various places. So my question was, again, I mean, we're doing a lot about thinking about transition beyond school on this end. I'm thinking we still could do more at the from early childhood to kindergarten. And so I'm wondering about, do we know how the Greater Madison Write-In Project aligns with the early learning standards that our 4K program, actually in writing and in social emotional learning. I just don't want to lose that we need to be constantly thinking about beginning in early childhood and through higher ed, the whole continuum.
So I would say not necessarily Greater Madison Writing Project, but I will say, if you remember last year, we started doing the work around PBIS with our 4K, and they have been partnering to do learning collectively. Additionally, our PBIS coordinator has been working with the 4K coordinator to help with that, along with our school psychologist to really bridge that. And then we do start social emotional learning right in 4K, and they've been using Second Step, just like elementary was as well. We've had the conversation of, do we look at character strung down into 4K, but also 4K has adopted the Amplified curriculum this year. So that's already a lot. We're trying to minimize change. And so we've been really building the connection between literacy instruction with 4K to 5K with the adoption of Amplify. And then we even had a meeting just a little bit ago where 5K teachers met virtually with the 4K staff to talk through what 4K and 5K looks like in literacy instruction.
So you're looking at, I mean, are the same kids who are flagged in 4K or doing well in 4K? I mean, is that one would think there would be alignment as they move into kindergarten? And it sounds like if we're using the same curriculum, clearly that's easier.
Yes, and we have a communication tool that we use between 4K and 5K. And our school psychologists work very closely with our 4K coordinator and our PBIS coordinator to help with that bridge, as well as our principals. So we have a lot of different ways of communicating. The students need extra support academically, behaviorally, to communicate that to 5K so they're ready.
Yeah, that student support team that we have, that dives in deeper for those learners that, may score low on the student engagement survey, that same group of thing with our elementary school psychs and one of the social workers comes together with the 4K coordinator. And so the 4K teachers can put in a request for assistance to that team. And then we go and do observations, do suggestions and things like that. So it starts that same, like some of those strategies that we're utilizing, we're starting to, use those right away when those things pop up in 4K.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept to approve the monitoring report as presented.
Did you have a question? Did I miss you?
Kind of, I don't.
Yeah, go ahead. No, sorry. Can we pause on your
Yep,
motion?
I'll withdraw.
Sorry.
Okay. How do I ask this? Do we know, because it's just one point off. Do we know if, how we're using Will as a wraparound program? Do we know that this is a problem because of the new curriculum that we have? Or is this an issue that we have been trending on having? Do you see what I'm asking?
Right. I would say it's not a problem because of our new curriculum. I would say our new curriculum supports writing based on the science of reading and science of learning. And the way we were instructing writing before was missing some key components, which is why we have learners in the upper grades that may have missed some of those key components in our previous curricular resource that we are trying to, because now with adoption, you have students that the curriculum is assuming they've had that instruction K4 when they're starting in 5th grade. So we're having to fill that gap, and Quill is providing that gap. And it's not something that we should need long-term.
Right.
As it grows,
Right.
see the growth. Okay.
Yes. And already I can tell you, listening to 3rd and 4th and 5th grade teachers, already after only 1 year, they're impressed by the writing they're seeing from the year before and the instruction and the quality of writing.
So the disconnection is not because of the program, it is because of the switch. Okay, that was my question.
Anything else? Sorry, I missed you. All right, I would entertain your motion.
Motion to approve the monitoring report as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. That brings us to item B, review of potential indicator changes to R3. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. Does anybody have any questions, or did you guys want to go through that at all?
I think.
Oh,
Yeah, you can go back.
Yeah, is it back there? Okay. I just didn't know if there's another.
If you go to the sample that's provided to show how it would read.
Okay.
I mean, I think this is basically it, but it's not gonna be.
No, it's not that. Total percent of
Indicator
prior year
revision.
graduating class that completes at least one workplace learning industry credentials, dual credit, and pass AP tests.
Back to me.
Windows something.
That's 11.
Agenda.
So Sue, you're thinking right here? No.
B.
B.
B, where, yeah.
Adjusted indicator. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions or concerns or?
I just have a suggestion, it's schematic, like, that we do the way we just talked about it, but just say, completion of at least one of the following. And then list them.
Okay.
It's the same way.
Yep.
Yeah, minor detail.
Anything?
Oh,
yeah.
Duel with the sword.
Dual.
That would be way more fun though. I don't know, dual credit classes are great too.
All right, if there's no questions or concerns, we'll move on. I'll come back to us. Item C, gather input for summary statement for R3. Stephanie or Jan, do you guys have any needs or you got a whole page. Okay, I think she's covered, right? Okay, she was covered. She was paying attention. Okay, all right, I will move on. Okay.
Where did you land with your question about?
All I did was I notated more discussion as a board and education on indicator mostly 3 and 4 and how they prove we are meeting the mark.
As a place to start is
Yeah.
what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is board education on forward and ACT writing, what those tasks look like for our students to see if it matches the policy language. And if it doesn't, we need to continue that conversation. Is
Yes.
that a place to start? Is
I
that
think
fair?
that's education. I
Yep.
think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I needed to have it come back again because we were having the conversation, questions to them. But the question really is to us.
Yeah.
If we're, okay.
I think what Stephanie said was a good place to start. I mean, I think the data is potentially even there to answer. We just don't know that it's there. Maybe it's just, we need to learn more.
Yep.
Which so.
Yeah.
Okay. That brings us to public input, which I have none. Thank you all. Brings us to board consent agenda. Would somebody care to make that motion?
The board.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That brings us to item 8, the superintendent consent agenda. Anybody care to? Stephanie again making a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second
Do we have a
it.
second? All in favor say aye. Aye, ayes, ayes. Okay, any opposed? All right, that motion passes. That brings us to press verification, and they are not here tonight. Brings us to board debrief of meeting. This is kind of our last meeting before that we talked about changes for our debrief. Stephanie, how did you think the meeting went? How did we do?
I think it was good. One thing that I think we did was we had a really good discussion on 3.4. And are we getting the right data? That was really good.
Yeah.
Like that.
Megan?
I would agree with Stephanie on that. I thought it was great that we were able to kind of like bring it back around and help each other figure out like, what do we really need? Right? Are we getting it? Aren't we getting it? So it was nice to just be able to work it out together as a group and get a plan in place so that we can move forward.
Yeah. Jan?
Everybody was engaged and participated.
Yes, good. Good. Linda?
I thought, again, we focused on data and, but also having a few students here to talk about, how they're, how it actually plays out, what we're reading about. And the fact that they're at different points and different career paths, but I mean, but they're still really a valuable experience to start, even if it's not what they want to do ultimately to get work experience while they're in high school. So that was also valuable.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's always good when we do student results focused stuff. This was a heavily student focused meeting. I do agree. I think the discussion about is the evidence really pointing to what we're asking for in policy is a good question to ask.
Always, right? Yeah. Sue?
Yeah, the double whammy of the results conversation and the students being here, so.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd make a motion.
No, right. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
How do we?